Alright, today we're building a Coelodonta Habitat, but also we're building a diner where I went way off into the abyss when it came to detailing because I ended up building fryer baskets. Anyways, don't forget to hit the like button on this video, and now let's see what this crazy squirrel got up to. So I wasn't joking when I said building fryer baskets. Like, I really thought that this build would be like, oh, small, you know, and going to just build a kitchen and a restaurant. And then I thought, let's go completely bonkers when going into the detail, because there's like ovens, there's a grill, because of course I'm making a fancy diner with like a grill with charcoal or coal underneath it. Well, charcoal most likely, because coal isn't going to make your burgers taste any better. But then also Coelodonta Habitat. Yeah, I'm definitely thought that was pronounced differently. I looked it up, like how it was pronounced. I'm still not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly because my brain wants to kind of mix Dutch and English pronunciation. So my brain saw Coelodonta, or at least saw the letters from the word or the name, and wanted to say Coelodonta. Like, the first part of that is definitely like trying to pronounce it the Dutch way, and then the rest is just like garbled squirrel noises. So yeah, Coelodonta, woolly rhinoceros. I could talk about that for a long time and, you know, talk about all of the detailing that I've done, but thinking about all of the detailing just makes my brain hurt because, again, a grill with charcoal. Like, I wanted a real like barbecue flavor or just charcoal flavor because I think it would just be fancy. And then I built like a fryer basket just a frying station just because fries, and then ovens because maybe they make their own bread in this diner. Like, it's a fancy diner. I mean, there's already like a sort of glass, not chimney, fireplace on the edge of the dining room, and you know, if they have a glass fireplace, it's fancy. Same with like a fountain. If you have a fountain, you're fancy. If you have a glass fireplace like the one that I built, you're fancy. Or at least you're fancy in my books. But anyways, as I said, I could talk about that. I could talk about how Coelodonta makes my brain hurt. But I just want to talk about all of the stuff that I've been doing. I mean, this is not a serious channel, so me talking about like, oh, the things that I've built doesn't really interest me. I mean, sometimes there are, of course, things that I want to talk about when it comes to what I build, but most often the funnest things are just the weird rambling. So yeah, let's talk about that. First off, for some reason Game of Thrones has been on my mind so much lately. I mean, I get it, like with the announcement of House of the Dragon, but then I'm just like, I'm traumatized from like how Game of Thrones ended. So I'm just like, do I really want to go into the new House of Dragons, like Game of Thrones spin-off series, knowing how bad they screwed up ending of Game of Thrones? Yeah, that's been on my mind, but that's not really what I wanted to talk about. That's just a tangent. The one thing that I do want to talk about is, well, first, roast chicken. I've been cooking a lot lately, and I haven't really made any like roasted chicken ever, and I'm just like, where has that been in my life? Like, just like making roasted chicken is not that difficult. You just get like the chicken legs or like the drumsticks, you marinate them for like a bit, and then you just shove them in the oven for like an hour. Maybe longer if you like put it under the grill after that to get like the crispy skin. And I'm just like, where has this been all my life? Like, where? But then that's maybe why I actually built the oven in like the diner. Not for like, oh, fresh bread or something. No, roasted chicken. Now I just want to put other things in the oven for like a long time and see how well it is. But then I've also been, alright, not really sewing, but I've been mending clothes because like I have a closet full of clothes and I don't really want to throw anything away because like the clothes that I have right now are like my staple clothes. But every time like when something like ripped or when something was just in any way damaged, I would throw it away, and I thought like, yeah, I should probably keep it. Like, do I want to yet another piece or article of clothing or like the big dumpster that is all of like fast fashion? I mean, we all know that we have bought clothes that we have like worn 3 times and then thrown away. I'm as guilty of that as most of you are probably. But then I thought like, you know, like there's this vest, like it's the first vest that I think ever, no, not ever owned. I had one before, but that's why did I stop wearing vests? Like I owned one vest in high school and then I stopped wearing them for so long until I 2 years ago or 1 year ago got a vest because I needed one, because I needed to go to a wedding, so I needed to dress up a bit. But why did I stop wearing vests for such a long time? I don't know. But yeah, so my oldest vest, like the blue one that you might have seen in my streams, which, like saying in my streams as if I stream frequently. Like I stream like once in a blue moon, like werewolves and mermaids will come out when I stream. But anyways, that vest, the lining of it ripped. I want to say, oh, it was because of old age. I also definitely think that it's because of the weight I put on, because of pandemic and everything. But let's just go with like weight. It probably was just like a weird move that I made while delivering newspapers that ripped it because it didn't seem like it. I don't know. Anyways, short story. The lining ripped and I thought like, oh, I don't want to throw this away, but if I leave this to like rip further, because I would definitely do that, I would like see, oh, there's a tiny rip, or there's like, wasn't a tiny rip, it was actually quite a huge just gash into that vest. And then I thought like, yeah, I would definitely leave this as long as I can until it's noticeable, because it was the lining, like the inside of the vest. So it was just like, yeah, nobody's going to see this, so I can wear this still for a while. But then I thought, yeah, if I allow this to continue any further, it's just going to fall apart one day. And then I just took a needle and some thread, and it's not pretty, but it's functionally mended. I think that's the correct word for it. Like, you're not sewing clothes, you're mending them if you're not starting from scratch, if you have like a garment that just needs like patching up and such. And after that, I immediately threw it into the washer because for some reason, my brain immediately thinks like, all right, the best way to test out if I did any sort of like correct job on it is to just throw it into the washer, because like it gets thrown around, it gets squeezed, it gets like the centrifugal, that's definitely not a word, but like where it's just spin around so fast that the water just gets pushed out of the clothing. Your clothing goes through a lot in the washing machine and then drying and such. So that was for me like, oh yeah, that's going to be a test on how well I mended those clothes. And after that, I was just like, oh, I have a sock with like a hole in it, mending it. And now I'm just like looking at all of the clothes in my closet and just thinking, are there any holes there? Like legitimately, now I'm just looking for things to mend. I don't know why. It's just like one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I did an okay job with this. Now I can look at all the other things that have like a tiny hole in them or something. It sounds like I'm like wearing rags. I don't. A lot of things like very quickly get thrown out, mostly because it's visible where like the hole is or where just the damaged part is. But from the way that I'm speaking right now, it definitely sounds like I'm wearing rags. I don't. Things that I wear when I go to sleep, like if there's a hole in it, nobody's going to see it, and it's usually like the most comfortable shirts and such. Anyway, let's move on from the clothes mending thing. So far we have talked about roast chicken, how my brain hurts when I pronounce Coelodonta, which I just want to say woolly rhinoceros, but I'm not sure if that's the correct name for this particular, not dinosaur, I think you would call this an animal. Although, are dinosaurs animals? This again just shows how little I know of animals and dinosaurs. I'm just a builder. I mean, I'm building like salt and pepper shakers, fryer baskets, a grill with charcoal, and I actually even made plates. I even made like, you sometimes see these in restaurants, or at least I looked up pictures of professional kitchens, because yes, I could like make it look or take inspiration from my own kitchen, but like that's not a professional kitchen. A professional kitchen is usually quite a lot different than your at-home kitchen. But I even looked up like professional kitchen and saw like the sauce bottles that they use, and I was like, I can make that. But yeah, I'm basically built just an entire range of professional kitchen equipment. And the fun thing is, I didn't really think like, oh yeah, how am I going to find the references of that? Like, do I have to go to a restaurant constantly? And I was just like, is this going to be an excuse for me to go to McDonald's? Like, you can bribe me with McDonald's chicken nuggets. I have trash taste. Or trash taste. I don't have high standards when it comes to food. I know that McDonald's is trash, but McDonald's chicken nuggets are still just like a weak point for me. Any other like fast food restaurant that chicken nuggets? Nah. Like come to me with like KFC chicken nuggets or Burger King chicken nuggets? Nah. McDonald's chicken nuggets though, because I don't know what it is. I just really like McDonald's chicken nuggets. But yeah, I was thinking like, oh, is this going to be an excuse for me to go to McDonald's to just look at their kitchen, which would definitely be very weird to just be staring into their kitchen. But then usually there's a wait time before you get your food. I'm also the one that goes inside because I don't like driving. Like, I can drive a car, I just don't like driving a car. So I will go on my bike to McDonald's, go inside to like order. There's the whole like automated thing with like the sort of computer things. So I still don't have to talk to anyone. But there's also the part in my brain where it thinks like, oh, I'm cycling to McDonald's. This is definitely going to be healthy, even though I get like 20 chicken nuggets. Yes, I don't get burgers or anything. I get like fries and chicken nuggets. That's my order at McDonald's. Anyways, back to the professional kitchen stuff. But then I found you can actually buy professional kitchen stuff online. It's very expensive, but the pictures are very clear and can be used just very easily as references. So I use that. It even gives you dimensions, so everything that I built in that kitchen is to scale, which is weird for me. But anyways, that was just like, basically was just every morning I built like a different thing. Like one morning I built an oven, one morning I built a grill, one morning I built a fryer thing or fryer station. And it was kind of fun to just mindlessly build some. And then I went into the habitat and it was just like, alright, I have no idea what to do with this. The original idea for the dino was like a wine like tasting thing because fancy. But then I thought, yeah, this is like a zoo, so they're going to have like fast food as such. So then it just turned into a diner. But then with the habitat, I thought like, let's reference that original idea with like the wine tasting in the vineyard and put some like vineyard stuff or like grape vines in it to kind of mimic the feel of like, oh, this was once a vineyard, but when the zoo or when Eve Corporation bought up Andros, they basically turned this old vineyard into a Coelodonta habitat. My brain still hurts from saying that because my brain wants to say Coelodonta. And if I hadn't looked it up, I would have definitely pronounced it that way throughout this video. However, that video of basically people pronouncing words might, like, maybe it's correct. I hope it's correct. If not, then I'm just saying Coelodonta when it's Coelodonta or woolly rhinoceros. I have no idea. But anyways, let's move on to a different topic because, as I said, I find it way more enjoyable to just talk about random stuff. And so far, actually, we've talked about Game of Thrones, me just going way too hard on the detailing, chicken nuggets and professional restaurants, me starting to like mend my own clothes, which it's just fun to do. It's like, you don't really have to think about it, although I'm definitely going to try and look up like ways to do it better, because what I've done is just like, it's functional, but I don't think it's going to last long. So I probably will have to like mend it in like 3 months again. But for now it's functional and gives me the time to look things up. But now I really want to talk about how misunderstood Hades is. Again, like I sometimes have just like, this is the fun thing of me delivering newspapers. It's such a mindless thing. Like I put on music, I know the exact route that I need to take, where like I need to deliver all the newspapers as such, like which addresses I need to go to. But it's such a mindless thing that my brain just goes wild and I come up with all of the topics that I want to talk about in videos. One of them, like I spent an entire morning just thinking, yeah, Hades is always just so like misrepresented in media nowadays. Because when people, or at least in media with like movies and such, when they think Hades, they see, oh, king of the underworld. Satan is also in the underworld, so Hades must be like Satan. When Hades is more just like your introvert nerd. Like that's Hades. He's your introverted, nerdy bureaucrat. Like I think the depiction of Hades in Hades the game is actually more like how he was in mythology, because like Hades in like the stories and such about him, like he doesn't really go out of his way to screw you over. Like there's the two other dickheads who we somehow think are the good guys, namely Poseidon and Zeus, who wouldn't notice or understand consent if it slapped them in the face. I mean, how many animals have those two transformed into, you know, have sex with women, whether it was with or without consent? Those two didn't give a fuck about consent, while Hades is in the underworld minding his own business. The only times that he really, you know, does anything is when people either try to abduct Persephone, which, yes, Hades abducted Persephone first, but you can actually, story-wise, harken that back to Zeus, because Zeus offered Hades Persephone's hand without Persephone's knowledge, or Demeter's knowledge, Demeter being Persephone's mother, so you could harken it back to Zeus. Although, of course, the abduction isn't great, but of all of the gods, Hades is probably like the least likely to screw you over. Like, Hades is just in the underworld, minding his business. The only times that he really does anything is when people go into the underworld to try and take their loved ones back, which I don't know which one it was. I think Orpheus, or like the singer who wanted his wife or fiance or love back. I'm just thinking, he was an idiot. Like, actually, I think Persephone gave him like the rules of like, hey, you can take her back as long as you don't look at her until you're out of the underworld. And the idiot still looks around. I mean, it's like, it's an easy task, you idiots. Just don't look at her, and as soon as you're out of the underworld, you can just spend an entire day looking at her. But what does he do? Nope, he looks at her and then gets sad when she's taken away, when he clearly broke the rules. But yeah, there was the two guys, I think they were like two, well, one of them was like a Greek hero, but it was like the worst of the Greek heroes, and his idiot brother. One of them wanted to abduct Persephone. I think the other one wanted Hera, which, like, if you know anything about Greek mythology, fuck with Hera, and Zeus and Hera are going to screw you over. Just like, don't go near her. But yeah, abduct Persephone. Yeah, abduct the wife of a god. That's going to turn out great. But that's like one of the only times that Hades actually like somewhat messes with a person, and then it's like, it's kind of justified because you're trying to abduct his wife, even though he abducted her himself. Still, there's that. But Hades is just like your introverted, bureaucratic nerd. Like, he sits in the underworld and doesn't really do anything except, like, you know, do his job, basically. And like, I just, for a whole morning, thought like, yeah, if I, in any sort of way, went to the underworld, I would just stay there. Like, you know that Hades, like, he is definitely a gamer. Like, he has the optimal gaming setup. He also seems friendly enough that if you just go to him just to, like, talk or just hang out, he would definitely be up for that. And if you're like, if you don't want to hang out with Hades, you can hang out with Persephone and just bitch about the other gods with her, because he definitely would bitch about all the other gods, especially Zeus. But then we all need to start bitching about Zeus and Poseidon a lot more, because those two are dicks. Even though nowadays they're mostly like, oh, they are the good gods and Hades is Satan. No, it's the other way around mostly. But like, you could hang out with Persephone just bitching about all the other gods, because she definitely has like a lot of stories to tell about them. And then if you don't want to hang out with Persephone, there's Cerberus, a three-headed dog. Well, yes, because Hades nowadays is Satan, or at least in media is like made to be similar as Satan, and he's like the bad guy. But like, that's, well, what was the thing that I went on there? Oh yeah, because Hades is now kind of propped up in media as like Satan. Cerberus is usually like somewhat of a hellhound, but like, as far as I can tell from like the original myths, and like all of this information is like coming from like overly sarcastic productions and like some looking into the myths myself, but like Cerberus is, if you translate his name into English, I think his name is Spot or Spotted, which means like Hades named his three-headed hellhound Spot. That just, to me, screams he just wants some belly rubs, he just wants to pet you, just pick up the bones of Agamemnon and just use them for fetch. Like, you would have a great time with Cerberus, or at least that's what my way of thinking goes. Just like, you would have a hell of a time in the underworld. Like, maybe you could then talk to Thanatos, talking about all the ridiculous ways that people have died. You could have like a nice boat ride on the river Styx, Charon, which I don't know if I pronounced that right. But like, there's so many just awesome things to do in the underworld. Maybe that's more from like an introverted person's perspective because most of the people in the underworld are dead. But hey, you could talk to your dead loved ones. That's a thing. I mean, there's Elysium, so you could maybe be party with all of the Greek heroes, except for the ones that tried to abduct Persephone. Is Agamemnon in Elysium? He doesn't deserve to be. I mean, Agamemnon is like, he is a dick, just like Poseidon and Zeus. Basically, all of the Olympian gods need a good deal of therapy. What was this video about? Oh yeah, Coelodonta Habitat and diners, which are way too detailed for what it is. But hey, that's what you get when you throw a squirrel into Prehistoric Kingdom. There's so much just freedom here that I can do whatever. However, I still haven't made the electrical sockets. So, yay? I haven't gone that far off the deep end yet. Although I'm definitely thinking now, I want to make a fully, build a church fully interiorized. With the benches, the altar and such. And I'm just like, yes, I want to do that. You can't stop me. I want to. Anyways, I've missed recording voiceovers. I think you can tell that because I'm just way too giddy today. I'm just all over the place, which I love. But anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope to be back more regularly, but building things in Prehistoric Kingdom just takes a lot longer because I will build fryer baskets. I need a stop button on myself, but I don't want to. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, there is the like button, it does help out a lot. There's also the subscribe button if you want to see more, there's the notification button. But before that one starts working, I will be able to give Cerberus some belly rubs. And maybe play some video games with Hades. You know that he has the best video games. He has an optimal gaming, just setup. Hanging out with Hades would be a great time. Maybe Hestia as well. It's usually the lesser known gods that are the most chill and more relatable to nowadays standards, even though most of them are really screwed up in the head. Anyways, that's it for today's video. I hope all of you are having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one, which, going by today's or by the current schedule, is going to be next month. Anyways, have a wonderful day, guys. Bye bye.
A new place, a new home, for a while, let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back, take my time, just enjoy the ride. A new man passing by, life is good, best I've ever felt. Get me up, somewhere new, somewhere I can find myself. I feel so alive. As I reach out to the sky. I found my way. I was in the dark against it all, but made it through the day. Cause I found my way. In bad times, I know I'll be okay. Cause I found my way. Cause I found my way. Cause I found my way. My way. Cause I found my way. I found my way. I was in the dark against it all, but made it